a writer-director, or wants to be a writer-director? Good. Who's a director only? Not writing their own material? That lies a story. Yeah. And who's a producer? Great, a few producers. Good. And who's here out of the Film Commission, government bodies, different kinds of advisory roles, apparatchiks, funders? Yes, this is waving her hand again. She's available for cash-free funds every minute of your experience here at the Malta Film Festival. That's really helpful, by the way. Thank you very much for the audience feedback there already. Okay, so quickly we've got Georgia Paris, who's a writer, director, and producer, which I'll ask her more about, because one of the rules is so difficult to change hats from being a writer, director, and also having producer responsibilities, which we'll get into with Georgia at some point. On my far left is Maureen Zane, who's a really exciting new writer director in the UK. We met last night for the first time hearing about his project, which is great. On my far right is the author of The Order, which I was very kindly given by Peter yesterday, which I'm looking forward to reading by the full later when I'm not so busy. Thank you, Peter. He will talk quite a lot about his work as a historian and how he blends and works with history and research and fiction and non-fiction. So we're going to talk a lot about that kind of area of ideas and ideation. And on my near right is Ruth Greenberg, who's winning, nominated writer, and he's seen across a number of different genres, I see. Not just one trick, really interesting. Ruth, tell us a little bit more about the work that you're doing now, just so the audience gets to know you.
Well, I came into the industry around 2016 as a writer. That's what I wanted to do. And through that process, I was commissioned by Film Festival on the film that I just had come out this year, Out of Darkness, which was, I would say, the highest grossing first independent feature from the UK in the US in 10 years. So lots of caveats about it. That is a prehistoric horror film, randomly. But while
Pre-Jurassic Park.
Pre-Jurassic Park or post-dinosaurs. But while I was developing that film, I started having conversations with them about directing as well. I think partly because of the way I write, partly because of the way I talk about my work. I came from outside film industry, so I had no idea what directing was. I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, but then I made sure to realise that actually it was an extension of my normal writing creative process. So I now am moving into making my first feature as a writer-director, which is a British female 17.6 script. And I've also written film. The screenplay that I came into industry training on was thinking about that, it's sort of calling the card, was a dystopian British futuristic western with two female leads and a feminist film, which I think just wasn't like anything else that was out there at the time, and so that was what kind of started
Wayne, there's something you said to me last night that was really interesting. You said that you didn't necessarily intend to be a writer, you started as a director and then realised you needed to write. Yeah. Just explain that starting process a little bit more to the audience.
Well, I studied cinema and photography, which wasn't a particularly kind of practical course. It's kind of quite film theory heavy, and before I'd done that, I hadn't really thought about being a filmmaker. I wanted to do music, I was playing in bands, and then, so I kind of picked this course on the whim, and it kind of took me until the third year to kind of, I tried to do everything else. I was like, okay, I'm going to be an editor, I'm going to be a DP, and I kind of got to the end, and I was like, oh, directing is kind of everything, isn't all of these things. So I directed my first feature as my kind of final dissertation feature. It was my first film, first short film. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, I didn't have anyone to write scripts for me, so I was like, okay. And I enjoyed writing a little bit, studying English and all of that. So I kind of wrote, for the first few shorts I made, I wrote the scripts and thinking in the back of my mind, like, I'll get to a certain point and I'll meet all these amazing writers and they'll write scripts for me and I'll direct them. And I know my first short did alright and kind of blow the doors off for me, but it did alright, and off the back of that I actually managed to make a short film with a real writer, Tom Ben. He's a novelist, he's written this great short script, and I made this film with it called Real Water by Blood, and it did really well for me, and did really well at festivals, and kind of, got me attention, kind of kickstarted my career. And I love Tom, and I love the script, and the process of it, I really missed it having come from me, and kind of just knowing the material and the kind of ideas, early development process, and all of that. So then I was kind of like, well, maybe I'm a writer, but maybe I'll find someone to co-write with me. And then, start writing the feature that I made with the idea that, I'll be this amazing co-writer. And that kind of, I met some great writers, but you kind of realise that it's just me, but, you kind of have such a, as a creative person, you guys I'm sure will notice as well, you kind of have quite a singular sensibility, and, things you like, things you don't like, and time and taste. So yeah, I kind of wrote a script, and it was going alright, and kind of, learning as I went a little bit. It was kind of the first feature script I'd written properly. Didn't meet that writer, and I got to a point where I was like, okay, actually, I think this is going alright. I worked with the script editor as well, which kind of really helped me, not having studied screenwriting or being that experienced in screenwriting. And coming out of it, I kind of feel like I can call myself a writer now. And, I wouldn't rule out just directing, TV or something in the future, but all of my projects now originate from me, and I'm writing that, co-writing something at the moment, but kind of, I'm writing,
Someone loves you.
Yeah. But I kind of now start my projects from a perspective that I'm writing and directing.
Yeah, that's really well explained, thank you. Peter, let's talk about history. Let's talk about ideas and research. Tell us a little bit about your career, what's really triggered your passion for research?
Writing has always been a part of my professional life. And I always wanted to use it as a sort of hobby or as a pleasure rather than work. Unfortunately, live in an island, just steeped in history. I would say there's a story in every corner. If you look, you're going to find a story. So when it came to writing, it was more a question of what to write about than I don't have any idea what I can write about. to look these things up. Big surprise that I didn't know about them, having studied it, particularly the Great Still Walk now, as a filmmaker. I need to get this part of the story out there, and took me down to writing the book. When we write historical fiction, at least the way I write it, because everybody has its own approach, I put the focus on the historical part. So that book is actually the historical part, and then the fiction is the elaboration on the side. So the parts I invent, the fiction part of it, are more like additions and accretions to the main story, which is this part. It's like I go to treat this fact. But that's my way of doing it. I don't really, everybody has his own style of writing. To me, I find this also very helpful because I'm very much a planner. So before I actually sit down and start writing, I need to know in my head how the story is going to start, where it's going to be in the midpoint, and how it's going to end. Everything must be clear in my head how it's going to go. Once I have that point, then I'll sit down and start clearing the rest. And that part is, for me, the easiest part of the process. The research is the most time-consuming and was the one in historical fiction. Because I also write a different genre, which is dark fiction. Sure. In this case, I quite like Straight Jacket as a sort of fiction something. You can't deviate from certain names, you can't deviate from certain customs and language that happen in those days. But then you have to use your creative imagination for those bits that will give a different twist to a story that has been told 100 times.
That's really helpful to hear about your process. Ruth, can you talk a little bit more about where, and if you like, how you handle your ideas, the concepts of each, because you're quite eclectic. And tell us a little bit about how you actually go about your craft. What do you get done on paper?
Wow, great question. What do I do? I don't think that I'm eclectic. I think it's that I just love genre. I did go to film school, I grew up watching movies, I did an English lit degree, and a master's in creative writing that wasn't screenplay based, but I wrote a screenplay. And so I think everything that I've ever written comes from an instinct. There's not sort of, I don't necessarily understand the formula, but having watched films and rewatched films a lot, I've got a real sense of how a film should evolve. And then it's just how I see the world. Like, there's something about dystopian future with women riding horses and breaking down motorways in the UK that feels like really relatable. So, those are the films I watched. All these big American genre films and classics when I was growing up, and I think And that's the kind of the space for me. In terms of my process, it varies. So I work collaboratively, and I also work on my own. So the first screenplay that I kind of put about was my Western, and that was I come up with the idea for it. I then decided to do a PhD. I got a PhD in
It's a big part of the process.
it was huge for well, at the time I was like, I don't want to do PhD because I don't want to go into academia, but the supervisors were like, no, it's professional development and basically creative and pseudo development situations we write up with two people that I met every couple of months within the draft, and we talked it through, and then I went back into the draft. It was very creatively contained. As in they weren't saying that you can't do this and you have to think about marketing, they were saying, what's the story to tell, and that was the question. And then as part of PhD as well as producing the screenplay, I wrote a thesis about violent female protagonists in popular cinema, and that was really for me. I wanted to address the question of Liza Clark a lot of my eyes. So I feel like I've really gone through that subject. I really understand where I'm coming from in terms of my interest in that, and so that scriptable development and perfectionist, and I think it's supported, it's developed to a level where for the first time I felt able to show that. And that's what I started to circulate. And on the back of that, I had people come to me and say, do you want to do this project with us? Originally that was unpaid, and then so it became paid projects. And those were mostly people giving me a concept and then saying, writer, director, producer, let's develop it together. And I think when I'm doing that, it's basically I just have to hear the concept and I look away and I just start thinking about it and seeing it and building it, and then it's the right project. And I also have to know that the team, that when you're working collaboratively, it's a long process and you have to know that you are aligned creatively, that you're telling the same story, you've got the same politics, there are just so many things that have to be kind of. And then alongside those sorts of things, I also just write my own stuff. So the boxing script came about because I started boxing. And when I started boxing, I started seeing all the metaphors in boxing and thinking about story related to domestic abuse and women and violence in boxing. And so it was kind of an excuse to go boxing 4 times a week because that was research. And I love research. I'm a big researcher. And so every time I went, I would just journal ideas. And then that I wrote over a few years and bit by bit. And then took it to the producer that I wanted to make it with. And then we developed it a bit. And now so it's. But I'm not someone who has you come across some people who seem to have an idea every 10 minutes. And I'm not that person, I have an idea every 2 years, but I have that idea, that's that shot. And I go into it, and I think for me, research, watching films around the subject, reading around the subject, whatever kind of research you do, that's the thing that kind of sparks off the ideas and makes me, I often find that I'm reading a book and I'll get a page in, and then spend 3 hours making notes with one line, which just sort of gets you going. So I think that's
That is really helpful, thank you. Georgia, you are a research junkie, and less favourite the actual writing of scripts, at least that's what you confessed to me last night. Tell me more about the way you approach ideas, concepts at the early stage.
I think that I'm often looking to explore subject matters that I don't fully understand myself, because quite frankly, I'm probably going to be, especially if you're trying to do a feature, with that subject matter for years. I mean, I've been working on the film I'm working on at the moment, I've been working on that for 5 years, so it's got to be something that you're going to keep evolving, keep uncovering new things about it. I mean, for me personally, to keep interested, and you're also going to get interrogated a lot about the film that you make, or why you're telling that story, and I think you can see through when people don't really care about what it is that they're trying to present in the story, trying to present. So I'm looking for things that I don't really understand, or that I've had. For example, with dance and why I use dance because I went to students of contemporary dance. I didn't really understand what I was seeing, but I was having an emotional reaction to it. I don't come from a dance background, but I was seeing something that felt that these dancers were like normal people. This is a contemporary dance in the style of Univac. I was having an emotional reaction to what I was seeing, and it was really powerful and really visual. And because I love telling stories about what it is to be human and try to understand how we interact with one another, there just seemed to be something really interesting to explore in dance, which is just a sort of exaggerated body language, and we communicate so much with how we hold ourselves and gesture, and telling stories in a visual way, which you always try and find a way to tell, especially if you're dealing with emotions, they're so internal and complex, and trying to get them out of the brain onto the screen, and how can you tell that story in an interesting way. I also think that pretty much every story has been done as well, so it's about how it comes through you, through your life experience. That's what's going to make it interesting. So in terms of process, I'll find something a bit abstract, whether it's an emotional or an experience I've had, and then just delve into that, whether that's reading books or photography or choreographers or going to museums. I don't often actually watch other films about the same subject matter. I'm trying to find other things that would inspire me. And that can be sometimes years, and then actually the sitting down, as you say, and actually writing the script, I find quite hard. I don't do anything but sit down. I mean, I've got like thousands of images and lots of streams of consciousness of this subject matter. I'm looking at what would be interesting to say. In terms of like sitting down and writing dialogue, and I find that quite hard. I try and write, if I'm always aiming for a silent film, that's not the way to get out of writing. It's because I feel like you should be able to, this dialogue's really hard also, but you're trying to visually show it, not tell it. That's what I do myself. Yeah.
Great. Lauren, you've obviously worked with some public funders and broadcasters like Channel 4, Film 4, and British Film Institute. There are certain processes that are expected. There are certain formats of writing at the early stage, such as treatments, and then moving to drafts and polish, a sort of contractual view of how you engage with the writer, very much from a producer stroke commissioning model point of view. It's a very standard terms that can explain what we're sharing. What are the strengths and weaknesses, and what were the frustrations of having to, as you so immediately said, come out through the passage of being wanting to be a director and then realizing you were going to need to write your own material, actually having to then jump through the hoops of what I've just described in terms of the formats you're expected to do?
Yeah, I mean, I had quite a good experience working with public funders, and that's not everyone's experience. But yeah, I mean, I don't look back to maybe jump through hoops, but I do think, and this is the same, in public, private, all sorts of development in terms of, like you said, the kind of contracted stages of writing a screenplay. And yeah, like I said, I'm kind of in the early development of a couple of projects. Treatments I find very difficult, frustrating, and I kind of feel it's the kind of one stage of the process that there isn't like a particularly set way of doing it. But it's the stage you kind of pay the least, and I find that you kind of do the most work. And if you're not careful, you can kind of fall out of love with the project in that stage. So it's kind of, that's very my life at the moment anyway. And I kind of feel like it's finding, I'm still searching for it, but it's finding a way of writing So yeah, I kind of feel like I'm still trying to find the perfect kind of combination of images and words and length and stuff, kind of, you know, that works for me. But in terms of the longer process, yeah, it can be quite arbitrary in terms of you kind of get paid and commissioned for drafts and then revisions, and you know, it's very arbitrary. Like you can do, you know, a third of the amount of work in a draft you've done in a set of revisions, and at the end of the day, you know, there is a certain amount allocated for that script, and you will kind of get paid that. If the film goes into production, you'll get paid that part of